Hey, what's up, everyone? I have taken my Catswell channeling Soulrend Poison Pathfinder to the next level, we'll just say. And I want to share with you guys the changes that I've made and just how it's become so powerful. So we're gonna try to get through this really, really quickly. If you didn't see the build guide yet, posted a couple days ago. It'll be linked in the description below, and the little thingy in the corner right now, I'll do that as well. And yeah, definitely check that out if you want the full overview of the build. This is just an update video with a little bit of a highlight at the beginning. So what have I done since the last video? The things that I talked about doing are the two big things. The expensive stuff to do is getting a Nimis. This is double damage for the build. The way that it works is we are Catswell channeling Cyclone with Soulrend, and we want those projectiles to come back. They will deal poison infliction on both the outcoming and the incoming. So normally we have to use a returning projectile support, but they will deal significantly less damage on the returning proj. However, if we use Nimis, then we can just add in an additional damage gem, and we get the full damage with the return as well. So the way that you want to think about it is with returning Progen, you are shooting one out and then one's coming back with 60% less damage. So you're getting about 1.4 poisons per cast. But with Nimis, you're getting 100% out, 100% in for a full 2. But that also gets amplified by the fact that you can add an additional damage gem for about 40% more on top of that. So you're actually at about 2.8x. So you're going from 1.4 to 2.8. That is why it is double damage. This is like the number one thing you want to do if you want to take the build to the next level. It is about 80-ish to 85 divines for a Nimis right now. Definitely want to get that ASAP. And then the next thing is a Progenesis. This is currently 60-ish divines. Progenesis will dramatically increase our defenses because it is stacking with our Petrified Blood, and we get so much increased flask effect from Tides of Time and all of our increased flask effect. This is actually at a 1.7x. We actually have 70% increased flask effect for even unique flasks. So the Progenesis is way, way stronger. So the Progenesis alone, instead of giving us 25% life loss, it's actually 42% life loss is taken over 4 seconds instead. So it is a dramatic increase in our defense and our EHP. And we can see this in the POB right here. You can see that without Progenesis, I have about a 70k EHP or 70k max hit. With Progenesis, I have 100k max hit. But with all the recovery and everything, you can see it's really, really good. Yeah, about 60% more defenses with Progenesis. So 2 things. I said that in the video last time. And then I want to go over the kind of interesting, fun things that I did. The first one is we crafted a dagger. And yeah, this is what I ended up with. I was originally sad with it. This is the old graveyard crafting. So I used Captain Lance's layout right here. Huge thank you to him for making an awesome layout that doesn't use adjacent. So this is much, much easier to do. I'll link it to you guys below with the whole recipe and everything if you want to follow how I crafted this. It will spit out 3 different daggers that will have 3 fractures on them, and you hopefully hit something good. Unfortunately, this is what we fractured. We fractured intelligence, which is a little unfortunate, but this actually had an unintended benefit that allowed me to be kind of creative about modifying the build and actually making it better. So this is the dagger that we have, and I still want to keep a single Darkseer. Now, I would get more damage. I'd get like 30% more damage if I double daggered, but the benefits from Darkseer, particularly defensive, are so good that I actually recommend keeping one no matter what. Malediction is 10% increased damage taken to enemies and 10% reduced damage done by the enemies, as well as the big life and ES pool. But the cool thing that I did here is by leveraging the intelligence, I used 3 intelligence tattoos for poison on hit, and that allowed me to drop Herald of Agony. Previously, we were using Arrogance to reserve Herald of Agony against our life right here, and we're not doing that anymore because we want as much defense as possible. And we were primarily using Herald of Agony for the chance to poison, and this allows us to make up for that and still have a 100% chance to poison on hit and get our full life pool here. We do lose the 10% more damage multiplier from Herald of Agony, but that is worth it. We don't need the damage as much as defense for, big T17 back to basics maps. And also by dropping that, we get a lot of gem sockets back. I actually had Enlightens in the build that we don't need. That was actually overkill. And I dropped 2 Enlightens and I dropped Arrogance and Herald of Agony. That gives us 4 gem sockets back. So what I did is I added Immortal Callback in. I added in Mark on Hit support on the Poacher's Mark. So, more quality of life, fewer buttons to press. And then I also 4-linked our Divine Blessing. So our Divine Blessing Malevolence now lasts 22 seconds. That's with me dropping the Mastery right here. That gives us a passive point back. We also use Inspiration here, so it costs much less ES. So our ES pool is much more comfortable as well. So all of that combined was just a really nice way to get more quality life into the build. With that passive point, what I did is I added in the Poisons Inflict Damage Faster. This reduces the ramp time for us to hit the max DPS. Our max DPS doesn't change with faster poisons because we're stacking infinitely, right? But what it does is it allows us to ramp up in a much shorter period of time, which is incredibly beneficial for bosses that are teleporting around and all that. You can just get on them faster, get your ramp up. I upgraded my Watcher's Eye for damaging ailments deal up to 15% faster here. So we'll have 35% faster poisons, which is 35% reduced ramp time. I believe I went from like 5.4 seconds to 4 seconds on ramping to my max damage, which gives us way more quality of life when we're doing bossing or anything like that. I added in Unspeakable Gifts in my large cluster jewel. Unspeakable Gifts, Touch of Cruelty, Unwaveringly Evil. So this just gives us a little bit of explodey for high density maps. Feels good. And then here, you don't need the Corrupted Blood. This just allowed me to drop Corrupted Blood for my Divine Flask right here. If you want to go all out, you can do that. But the big thing here is Parandus Pact with Chaos Damage in this socket is really, really good. I actually moved the 50 life here to the 5% life here. And with all of these points here, we get 126% increased chaos damage. If you look at my Soulrend, it says 34% or 34k average damage from 27k. So that's a very, very big percentage-wise jump in our damage. This is a great quality of life for us right here. And then last up, big change is I bought a Forbidden Flesh for Endless Munitions. This is from the Deadeye for +2 proj on our Soulrend. So I am now shooting 12 Soulrends all the time. And actually, if I put in my Dying Sun, we are shooting 15 Soulrends because Dying Sun, with all of our increased Flask effect, is actually giving us 3 proj instead of 2. I would love to make that 4, but getting that last 30% is really tough. 15 Soulrends every single cast with the Dying Sun active is pretty sick. And that equals 30 poisons every single time we trigger. We're triggering 3.3 times a second, so we're getting about 100 poisons per second, which is pretty awesome. And yeah, that is the Blitz version of all the changes of the build. I really just wanted to highlight how strong, how smooth, and how comfortable this build has become. I really, really love it, and I'm really happy with it. And honestly, I was not really happy with T17s and just the state of the league in general. And now that I've made a build myself that can do these maps and can do this content, T17s are still flawed, and I still think there's a lot of stuff that I hope all those, there's some mods in there that are just ridiculous, like Marked for Death and whatever, that just don't make sense. But now I've kind of come around a little bit, and when you have a build that can do them, they're pretty fun. Like the amount of loot that drops, the challenge for your build that can do it. It is a very interesting experience. And yeah, I really hope they tweak them and get them in a place where more people are happy with it. And it's, I think, I was pretty sour on them before, but I'm pretty happy with it, particularly having a build like this. So yeah, if you're not playing this build yet and you're interested in it, or you weren't interested before, hopefully this kind of wets your whistle a little bit and you give it a shot. All right, anyway, that's it for me. Appreciate y'all. See y'all soon. Bye.